So, all right. Well,
All
we
right,
should be live. Yeah, it
we're
says we're
live,
live. So good.
and
Let's just go ahead.
as usual, I think Jamie, have you got your other screen up to
I'm
just
going to open it right now, but let's just
yeah,
get started. I don't want people listening to us going, "Are we on? Are we on?" I
yeah,
will
yeah.
find it.
So as always, I mean, a good lesson is we're live, and this is a an unstructured, somewhat unstructured opportunity for us to just kind of share what's going on in our world.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the thoughts that have been formulating, in terms of what we've been doing. But of course, there's always the technology element. So we all learn, and it's always a good idea to, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and is that the idea of being polished and perfect and pretending that everything's, awesome, to me is not being authentic. So the idea of going, you know what, we all make mistakes and we all need to check and everything else is cool. I mean, I think we all have the opportunity to be authentic and human that way. So that's why, you probably, if you caught our last live last week, and Jamie was absent for that, wasn't able to join us, but I did that when you saw that. I think it took me 3 or 4 takes before it, for whatever reason, the technology was not working. So you heard me rambling, but
Yeah.
anyhow, that's who we are and what we do. And
And we are live. I've confirmed. So we're good.
So we're good. So if you're here, thanks for listening to the little preamble ramble there by me while Jamie was checking. Today, one of the things that Jamie and I had kind of talked about that we wanted to kind of rap about today was the idea of focused attention. So going in sprints. In fact, Jamie and I are doing a sprint right now ourselves. So in business, it's very easy to get lulled into this idea of, I show up, I have a shower, I put on my suit and tie or my dress, and I go to work and I sit at my desk. We've been programmed and trained to do that. But business doesn't work that way. And in my opinion, neither does life. It ebbs and flows. We have high energy times and we have times when we need to recover. And I view business the same way as when we can look at rhythms in our business. And we call right now we're calling it a sprint. Maybe we'll change the name. But this idea of sprinting and doing things concentrated and focused for a period of time. And I remember one of my mentors years ago, or some people, I remember I was involved in a group, and one of the fellows that was there, it was a guy, and he was saying, anybody can do anything for a short period of time. So even though you might hate what you're doing, you might not feel like doing what you're doing, you can do it. So a good example would be exercise. Some people hate exercise, but they know, you know what? I know the outcome that I want, and therefore I'm willing to, at least put up with that or bear the uncomfortableness of it. And then after a while, it becomes comfortable. So anyhow, today's going to be about this idea of a 90-day sprint, and that's kind of the topic that I wanted to talk about today. But Jamie, your thoughts on this topic and the idea of sprints and, focus and then backing off and slowing down.
Yeah. It's actually ironic that you bring that up exactly. And this isn't scripted or planned, but I was having a discussion with my son both last night and tonight, and we both despise exercise, really. So, but I was sharing with him, sometimes you just got to go and just do it, and don't procrastinate on it. Just go and do it, get it done, and you'll just feel better. Not just from the exercise, but actually from having gone and done it.
Yes.
And so the longer you put it off, the more you're thinking about I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I know most of you out there love exercise, but I don't. But I was just kind of imparting on him, it's just that old saying, just do it, just go do it. You're going to feel better for yourself just knowing that you did it. That's it. So it's
I love that.
Business. Yeah.
I love that. That's brilliant. I hadn't quite thought of it, that aspect of it, because to me, I agree with you 100%. It kind of relates back to some of the stuff that Jamie and I talk about, both with our clients and also in our free M.A.P program, is the idea that, and I love the Nike slogan, just do it, is it's in the doing it that you then are able to think about it. And that's where a lot of people get it mixed up. They get it reversed. They go, well, why don't you exercise? Well, because I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things, by the way, one of the businesses I had in the past was a fitness business, a women's fitness business my wife and I had, that we built up into a couple locations. And we used to do a little workshop around this concept of exercise. And we said, well, why do you fall off the wagon? Why don't you do it? Well, I can't fit it in, and when I'm tired and, I just don't feel like it. And I never seem to feel like it. And that's why I'm quitting. That's why I'm giving up on this. And so we do a workshop around this and say, okay, so thinking about your life and everything you do in your life, what are things that you do, whether you feel like it or not? And we'd have them write out a list. Well, sometimes in the morning, I don't feel like getting out of bed, but I get up anyways. I got to make lunch for the kids. I often don't feel like doing that. I got to do laundry. I hate doing laundry. I got to iron my shirts. Hate ironing my shirts. I got to take my suits to the dry cleaner. I got to polish my shoes. I got to take the kids to practice, so on and so forth. And we'd have them make a long list of all the things that they do, whether they feel like it or not.
Yeah.
And then we'd say, okay, now put exercise at the top of the list. So that, fits beautifully in what you just said, Jamie, that idea of just do it, whether you feel like it or not. Don't think about it. Don't feel it. Just do it. But the thing that you added to that, the magic that you added, my whole thing was always, I guarantee you 100% every single time, you will feel better.
Yeah.
No matter how crappy you feel.
Yeah.
No matter how much you don't feel like it. No matter how much it feels like a strain or a drain, how angry you are, how depressed you are, how stressed you are, you will always, 100% of the time, guaranteed, you will feel different and better after you exercise. So that's what I always said. But I love the twist that you put on that, which was you'll feel better just for the fact that you did something, just the fact that you took action.
That's
I love that.
Talk about the physicality of it. Like, of course, you're going to feel better. I'm going to have exercise. I'll have gotten my heart rate up and gotten like the blood flowing and all of that. Yes. And maybe I'll even feel stronger for the day. But just that mental, like, I did it. I feel better and I did it. And I feel good about that.
Yeah. What I really like about that too, is the idea of in the doing it, it's not saying, oh, I did 90 minutes of it. Oh, I accomplished this goal. Oh, I did, I accomplished these great things, whatever it happens to be, whether it's your business. This is a great metaphor, by the way, the exercise metaphor, whether you're building your business or not. It's just the act of starting it.
Yeah.
Just so, you can go there and have a light workout, maybe be there and walk on the treadmill for 15 minutes or walk around the block for 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. Just the act of doing it allows your brain and your emotions to say, I did it. I actually pushed myself through and I started it and I did it, regardless of how long it was or how intense it was. So I think that's a great way of looking at it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's
ironic that just came up because we've been having that conversation in my household. So when you talk about that,
yes. So kind of transitioning and I'm kind of feeling, here's what I'm feeling today, Jamie, about this topic of a 90-day sprint. I'm kind of feeling like we just kind of rap about this. I know I've got some slides and sometimes I do some slides, but sometimes that can feel a little formal and a little, more like, I don't know, formal is a good word, formal, and maybe like there's an agenda, a hidden agenda, if you will. So I think, why don't we just kind of keep talking about that?
Let's just wrap.
Yeah, let's wrap. So the other thing that comes up for me is this idea that, and we hear this all the time, is from our clients who go, I'm so worried that I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
And you know what? There is no behind. There is, you're exactly where you need to be. And the way you can solve that in an instant is to decide. Because the only way to be behind is to be undecided. So when you're indecisive and you're not making decisions, then you're kind of standing still, aren't you? Which means the world keeps moving. Yeah. So it's not that you're behind, it's that you're falling away because you're standing still and the world or your business and everything else keeps moving. So this idea that we're kind of circling around is this idea of being decisive, and I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs that are, maybe not getting the outcomes they're looking for, in particular, this is to coaches, is they get stuck in what we might call the loop of almost. I'm almost there, and so they just keep looping around this idea of almost. So it feels like it's the responsible thing to do, but in fact, it's a resistance that's holding you back. What do I mean by that loop of almost? It kind of relates back to the idea of, well, I've rewritten my program for the 15th time. And Jamie and I'll say, well, how many people have you taken through it? Oh, none. How many people have you shown it to? None. So that's the loop of almost. I'm almost ready to step out there. And that's the killer, right? That's that idea of thinking about it, of working, focusing on perfection and trying to second guess or predict what's going to happen. And you can't. The only way you can do it, coming back to the idea of taking action and exercising, is just do it and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And do that. So step out of that loop, because the idea of leadership, the idea of getting out there and accomplishing something, means that you don't wait for clarity. You create clarity. And clarity comes through action. So sometimes they'll tell the metaphor of, if you're standing still on a trail and you see something up above, ahead of you on the trail, you don't know what it is. And the only way to get clarity on it, because it's too far away, you can't focus on it, you're not quite sure. The only way to figure it out and get clarity on it is to start walking. And as you walk, things become clear. It's the same in your business. As you move, as you decide, as you take action, things become clearer. So a lot of people have this wait attitude that, once it's 100% clear, then I'll move. No. We move based on the first iteration, first guess, if you will, and then determine how clear it looks after that.
Yeah. I want to say a couple things there. So many people that we speak with are in that, like, I'm in isolation. I'm creating something. I'm creating my program. I speak to a lot of coaches who are, I'm creating my program. And then when it's done, based on what I know about my program, then I'm going to have you'll help me to market it. That's their thinking, right? But it's not about creating what you think people want. It's about creating something that what people want. And so creating something and just running off with that and not having a real strategic plan, if you will, and understanding your audience intimately, all the things that we teach, right? You're really stuck in that isolated kind of bubble. And the other thing I just want to say too, very quickly, and we can talk about that too, is there's no done in business. There's never a point where you get to a done place. You never go, okay, well, that was good. I'm good. I'm just going to roll and sit here and collect a check all the time. And that's, I think a lot of people have that also in their mind. Like, I'll just put this on autopilot and people will just pay me passive income. That is possible, but certainly not on it doesn't happen like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's that idea of, I'm really glad you brought that up, that idea of falling in love with the journey.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're going, let's say you're going on an adventure, you're going on a trip to Italy. It's not going, well, my main goal is to get back home. Whoever does that, right? Whoever goes on a trip and goes, the most powerful thing, what I really want is to get back home. So I'm going to rush through the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Vatican and Tuscany and everything else, but I'm just going to run as fast as I can. And you know what? If I don't talk to people, then I'll get through faster and I'll get home faster. Yeah. Now that's an insane way of looking at things, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yet, isn't that true that many people look at their business that way? Rich Schefren, my mentor and coach, calls it the destination disease. That is this idea that I've got to get somewhere and that nothing in the middle counts. Yeah. But the opposite is true. It's the journey that counts. Yeah. And if you kind of use that, think of that as a metaphor or analogy, whatever we want to call it. I never get that right in English, but that idea of going on a trip and how, what happens when we're on a great trip? We never want to go home. We never want to get to the destination, which is getting back home again. We never want to get to the end point. We want to keep going because we're having so much fun and we're learning so much and we're seeing so much and we're meeting people. So business in much the same way, in exactly the same way, is that attitude shift. And many people dangle, that idea of, well, when I just have the money, and we talk about that too, in our work, is that idea of having, doing, and being is never going to get you to fulfillment, success, or happiness. It's the being, and that the doing comes out of the being, which then results in the having. And so many people get it reversed. I think if I just have the money, then I will, everything will be good. And sadly, that's for most people. It's not even entrepreneurs or coaches that suffer from that, but most people in life just think about life that way.
I mean, I don't mean to seem all kind of salesy here, but it's kind of that thing, when I speak with people, it kind of breaks my heart when they, we get to a place where we're talking money and they're like, well, I'll do your program when I have some money. The whole purpose of doing our program is so that you can have money, that you can get some money, right? So it's that what you're talking about is getting to that end place, and then I'll do that.
Yes.
Where it's completely, it's antithetical to what you're actually trying to accomplish, is to say, I'm going to hold on to my money, and then when it magically falls out of the sky, then I'll come and work with you. Well, how about you work with us? You invest a little bit in yourself and our program or whatever, and our goal is to help you with that, to give you a return on that investment. Anyway, I don't want to go down that long rabbit hole, but that's the thought that just came up for me. Is it breaks my heart to think about people who are just staying stuck in that place. I know even you and I, when we've struggled, we've still invested in coaches and getting support because we put the work in so that we can learn what we need to learn to build what we want to build. So
and gone into debt to do it, sometimes massive debt. And it's the same. I want to kind of pull it out of, because I think in this case, money is like the metaphor is. We can also look at another example that we can talk about is, and I've been doing some reading about this lately, and it's something we talk about sometimes too, is happiness. Is, there's been a lot of studies done around happiness, and most people view, once I have this thing, once I do this thing, then I will be happy. But again, it's like the having, doing, being. It's the opposite of that. Is we can choose to be happy. And out of that happiness, people are more productive. They make more money. They have better relationships because they start from a place of happiness. They don't get happy because they have more money or better relationships. It's the happiness that creates those. So if we're waiting, that loop again, I'm almost ready to be happy, then we're always waiting for something external to provide that reward, if you will.
And also, like, think about it. If it was easy, if it was an easy journey to get the money or whatever that is, that happiness quotient, if it was easy, you wouldn't enjoy it so much. I hate to use the word struggle, but I know for me in my business, when I first started, and I struggled for a while, years, in fact, I'm actually really grateful for that. And I was at the time as well, because I'm like, I'm going to get there, and I'm enjoying the journey and all of that. And every little step I took was, and I always say, it just forced me to be more innovative. If it was easy, I would have stopped. I would have stopped at that point, and I would have stayed stuck at that point.
Yeah. And that, it's so true, is learning to embrace the struggle. Because it's like, I talk about this sometimes. It's like we have a heart rate called the sinus rhythm. We have breath in and out. There are patterns in life and in the universe and in our bodies everywhere that are giving us very strong signals about how we need to be behaving. Yet most people choose to what? If I can just hide, if I can just stay in my house and close the doors, then I won't experience any pain or fear or struggle, then that will be the perfect life. But what is that? That's a flat line. And what's a flat line? That's death. And we see this over and over again. We see, sadly, I think it was Thoreau that said most people die with their music still in them. Why? Because they were afraid to step out. They were, what will people think? What if I'm off key? What if they don't like what I'm singing? What if they don't like my voice? And it is true that the reality is, it's very sad that most people kind of achieve their goal in life is to achieve nothingness, to achieve the flat line. Why? Because they want to avoid pain, they want to avoid struggle. But it's by learning, flipping that on its head and saying, no, I'm going to go after that. I'm going to experience that. Think about athletes, Olympic athletes. Think about professional athletes, how much struggle they had to go through, how much pain they had to go through
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff themselves through, and how much growth that they achieved as a result of that, and what they've achieved in their lives. It's exciting, when you think about it. And I want to, I don't want this to be negative. I want to turn this around on its head and say, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit that you're massaging or developing, or it's very strong in you, celebrate that, because you're one of a few. And it's the entrepreneur, that person that steps out on their own, that takes control of their business and their destiny, and wants to open a business and wants to have a successful business. Those are the people that are stepping through that uncomfortableness to say, I'm going to step out there, and I'm going to sing my song. So I want to affirm anybody that's listening or has joined us on this chat, or is just, kind of observing that this is something to celebrate. And I want to celebrate you as somebody who is stepping out and is one of the few. And you know what? One of the few can be a little scary sometimes, when you're the only one out there on the edge of the cliff that's ready to jump, and everybody else is hiding. So know that you're in light company, if you will. Yeah. So I wanted to, there were some other ideas I wanted to share around this idea of the 90-day sprint, because we've kind of gone a little off here on a bit of a tangent, but maybe I can kind of bring that back, if that's okay, Jamie.
Of course, we do that. Yes.
And by the way, Jamie and I have been in business for a number of years. We've been partners for about 8 years now, and we've got busy lives that we are enjoying, and we got a lot of work to do today. But work is fun and pleasurable, so we want to try and keep these lives, these check-ins, these opportunities to connect with people in this wonderful virtual space that we have to about 30 minutes. So my question is, where will you decide to be 90 days from now? What will that journey look like and feel like in order to get there? So, you've got a choice. The next 90 days can either be a vault, or a trap that you stay stuck in, and you're looking back 90 days from now. And that's what I encourage you to do, is go to the future 90 days from now, your future self, and say, where will I be 90 days from now if I keep doing what I'm doing? It might be you're getting the same. It might be it's worse. Or it could be something different in terms of how the journey looks. The choice is yours. But what I would encourage you to do is to release those first two options. Don't make the journey worse or boring or something you don't want to do. Don't let the journey be something where you're flatlining and you're just going to be the same place 90 days from now. 90 days from now. Embrace that idea of, I want to look back and say, wow, that was a heck of a trip. I saw this, I saw that. I drank fine wine in Tuscany. I toured the Vatican. Rome was amazing. I was at the Colosseum. I would really encourage you to look at your journey, your business journey, and look at it in the future 90 days and look back. What is that journey going to look like? And one of the things that I would encourage you to build in that journey is mystery, is the unknowing, and the ability to say, I'm going to decide to step out, circling back to the exercise metaphor. I'm going to decide to act. I'm going to decide to decide, rather than waiting for a perfect answer, rather than waiting for everything to be aligned and for a guarantee before I act. So I encourage you to build that into your journey. Say, is the mystery of, I chose to take action, even though I was uncomfortable, even though it was scary, even though it felt like risk, and what the benefit of that came to be in those 90 days. And you might even use some examples from your past life where you go, I remember that time when I was scared to death. I remember that time when, I don't know, let's use the swimming, metaphor here, is I remember that time when I I decided I am going to swim without water wings, without a life jacket, and I'm going to do the whole length of the pool. And I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. That's scary, right? Yeah, everything's going against you. Your whole body is like, you could drown. That's a big risk. But there's an example of a metaphor, but there may be many others too. Maybe taking a jump off the cliff and getting married, or committing to a relationship was something that you stuck yourself through the uncomfortableness. All of us have many things throughout our lives where we've just decided to do it. Just do it. So I want to encourage you to do that.
Decide to decide.
Decide to decide. Stop thinking about it, because you know what? If you start piling things up on your think about it pile, before you know it, you will be frozen in time. You will have so much to think about, and you will be so stressed by the fact that you haven't thought about it, and it's not thinking about it, is it? It's that you haven't decided that keeps you stuck. And I just want to leave an invitation to you. See along the bar there, Jamie and I do a free workshop, usually about once a month. We've got our next one coming up on Monday. We talk about things like this. We talk about these things that probably you're thinking, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not interested in that. I just want the secret sauce. I just want, the magic bullet. Everybody else is promising it. And why are you guys rambling on about, philosophy and life and everything? Because there's lots of people on Facebook. There's lots of 20-year-olds on Facebook that are living in Monaco and telling me I can make $1 million if I just do this, and then the money will flow. And of course, we know that's all a lie, or everybody would be doing it. So instead, I would encourage you to join us. I would invite you to join us and to do something different, to experience something different, to experience what it really means to build an effective business. And I use the word business. And if you're a coach and you're going, I'm not going to be a business person. I don't want a business. I just want to be a coach. Then go get a job being a coach, because there's only two ways to make an income as a coach. One is to go work for somebody else, and let them pay you the $25 or $50 an hour, for your 5 hours that you're able to work a week, or build a business where you can utilize and leverage your coaching skills to make a change in the world. So that's a challenge. So I've shifted from an invite to a challenge. I challenge you. As a matter of fact, it's a dare. I dare you to build a business. And I also want to circle all the way back to the invitation, because not only do I dare you, but I want to put my mouth is by providing our free 5-day workshop. And we're going to do that next week, Monday to Friday. And I guarantee you that you are going to come away every day with not only something to think about, but more importantly, something to act on every single day. Jamie, I guarantee that. And I know and can guarantee that if you join us, that you will learn something new. Guaranteed, 100%.
I just have to say, I love that you said that, because I was going to take us there. I actually wrote down on my notes, secret sauce, right? How everybody's promising the secret sauce. And I know I'll be sensitive to time here, but we do give a lot of secret sauce. It's not one thing. It's not one tactic. It's, that's the thing, but we do give a lot of secret sauce in what we do.
Yes.
So I just want to tease that a little bit, is that there is no magic bullet. That's for sure. And we do teach you how to build a proper coaching business, but there's a lot of secret sauce in that, that a lot of people that come to the workshop and also that work with us never even had these kind of things on their radar. Let's say. So there is a lot of secret sauce. I just want to say that.
Yeah. And I want to reframe that. It's a secret to you. If you're watching this, it's a secret to you.
Yeah.
It's not a secret to us. It's not a secret to successful business people.
True.
So if we kind of reframe that secret, it's just, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you, if you join us this week, or on any of our workshops for that matter, that you are going to discover things that you didn't know. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the fun. That's part of that's part of the lifestyle and the attitude and the behavior and the mindset that Jamie and I put ourselves in every day, is where can I go to a space to discover something that I don't know that I don't know? And that's the real opportunity for growth. Jamie, any other thoughts or closing comments?
That's it. I know we're going to wrap in a second, but while we kind of wrap up, if anybody is out there listening and we're still live, post your comment. We'll put it in here live and we'll answer you. Post your comment or question or whatever.
Yeah.
And
participate in the conversation. Share your thoughts around the things that we've talked about. That idea. I mean, the general theme that emerged from today, there were two things. One was the challenge to say, make your next 90 days a journey that you're excited about so that you can look back on it and go, wow, the world shifted for me. That was one. But underneath all of that was this idea that I think this core truth that really was woven into, it just kind of comes up serendipitously, intuitively. But, and I think Jamie kind of started us on this path, that this idea of decide, of learning to become a decision-making person rather than a think about it person. So I love that. And so participate in the conversation. Challenge us on that. Challenge us on that. Say, I've got a great life. I'm got all the success in the world, and I've never, ever decided on anything. I've spent years thinking about things before I took action. Let's have some fun conversation. So engage in that. Know that although this is live, it is recorded. Obviously, you're going to see previously live or whatever it says, whatever platform you happen to see this on. Jump in there. Let's play in the sandbox with us. Yeah. It's about having fun. And if you've forgotten what it's like to play in the sandbox, then I feel sad for that. And I want to help you. I want to help you come and get dirty and get some sand in your mouth and play around with us. Because if you're not playing and you're not, experiencing that in your business and your life, then we're here to help with that. Come play with us. Come play in the sandbox in the conversation of this recording, and also come play in the sandbox with us on Monday. We'd love to see you there.
Monday through Friday. Yep.
Yes.
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 All right, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
We'll wrap.
Thanks,
Amy. Always a pleasure.
Yes. I'm going to end the stream here. And